So it's been a little while since I talked about my GameCube collection as I was going along to essentially complete the GameCube collection itself. Games got kind of out of control, especially over the last year or so with some of the pricing, so it did keep me from buying a bunch of games all at once. However, recently I have picked up a couple of games here and there, but one game in particular actually came out for the GameCube. That's right, the system from 2001 got a new game in 2023, so I wanted to check that out as well as a few other titles. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure you like it and subscribe if you're new.
Let's start with the game that was basically a why not purchase because it was so cheap. It's Driven. It was $3, and I've never heard of the game. It's from BAM. BAM did a lot of the licensed games, so like Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Samurai Jack. They were all over that kind of stuff. But at the time, they were just pushing games out constantly. If you look at their game lineup from 2000 to 2003, it was, almost every single month. This, though, is inspired by Sylvester Stallone's hit movie Driven. We race on 8 stunning tracks, including California's Angels Bay and Paris Champs-Élysées. So, again, I've never played this one before. I saw it. I did not have it. It did come in this generic case, but for $3, I figure I can probably track down an actual GameCube case and just replace it and move the stuff over. The disc looks pretty good, so I don't know, it's just another racing game to kind of add to the collection. Next, we start to get into some of the games that I feel used to be a lot cheaper, and now they've kind of worked their way up in price to being more in like the mid-range section for GameCube games. And I'll try to get footage of some of these titles because I'm genuinely curious how Men in Black 2 Alien Escape plays. Looking at the back, it looks like a third-person shooter, kind of like an arcade shooter. Back then, Men in Black, this was like 97, 98, 99 when the first one came out, right? This would have been early 2000s, like 2002, 2003. It was incredibly popular. The first Men in Black was a really cool movie back then. You can still get a kick out of it with nostalgia, obviously, but it was a fun movie. And this one is complete. Unfortunately, the disc has seen better days, and this is one of those moments where you realize sometimes eBay can kind of betray you a bit, but it does at least have the case, the manual, the game. I'll try it out and see exactly what Men in Black 2 is. Here's one I completely missed out on when it released. I've never played Evolution Worlds, and it was funny because it's a Ubisoft game, and now we hear Ubisoft, and it's like, oh, here we go with the big open map with objective points everywhere. This was a much different time for Ubisoft. Their logo kind of reflects that. But at this point, they were really good during this Xbox PS2 generation, along with the GameCube, although they spent, I think, more time on the PS2, definitely, and then also the original Xbox. But this one's is a role-playing beyond imagination. It's a one-player game. It looks like a pretty straightforward turn-based RPG. So I saw this and people had mentioned it that, hey, you should look into Evolution Worlds. So figured why not? We'll give it a shot. This one was complete and the disc looks pretty good. So I'll pop this one in and just kind of check it out. But yeah, something that definitely has more of an RPG from Japan. Those are the kind of vibes I'm getting from this one, but it's pretty interesting to see the stuff that Ubisoft was doing back in this generation compared to what they're doing now. They just feel much more creative at this time. Next, I have Vex, and I do want to preface this by saying I was aware of this game even back then, as I would see it when I was renting different games for the GameCube and the original Xbox then. But I never picked it up. I never really played it. And what's interesting is it mentions combo-based fighting system with platforming. So at the time, there were a lot of platformers everywhere. This seems to mention just the idea of also having a fighting game combo system added in. It also says 70 challenging objectives. And at the time, a lot of these platformers were 60 frames per second. So I'm kind of expecting that from this one. But again, I haven't played it yet, so hey, again, I'll get some gameplay and post it up here. It is progressive scan as well, which is good for the GameCube. Again, it is fully complete, which is awesome. The disc had some residue around the edges, so it may have been put through like a resurfacing machine, which is always kind of a roll of the dice with GameCube games specifically, because they are smaller, they're like the mini DVDs. We've never really had a reliable way to resurface these, and I think we kind of need that with GameCube games obviously becoming more and more rare. It would be nice to be able to buff out the scratches in a much more reliable way.
Oh, and here's a really random fact about Vex. When I was going through the menus, at the bottom, there's an extras tab, and the only thing in there at this time is the Legends of Wrestling 2 promo spot, as in you select it, and it kind of runs just a trailer for about 2 minutes, which is an interesting crossover here, but I guess it's Acclaim, so they want to see if people who like platforming games like Vex would give Legends of Wrestling 2 a chance.
But now the big one, this is the new GameCube game, or a new game that went to the GameCube platform this year, and people were messaging me about it saying, hey, you should check this out. They moved this game over, and it's a new release technically for the system. So I put an order in earlier in the year when the pre-orders went live, and it showed up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot, I did order Xeno Crisis, and it's interesting, I guess, to be able to unbox, or I guess open up and unbox a GameCube game now in 2023, one that had not been on here previously. And I wasn't that familiar with Xeno Crisis. I've seen it again talked about and passed around online and mentioned, but I am very, very interested to see how this works exactly, because I saw on the website when I ordered this that it won't work on a stock GameCube, so you do need some sort of modified system, whether it's soft modded or how I have like the Raspberry Pi installed hard modded.
And after testing it, you do indeed need to have some access to Swiss, or I guess just a way to view the disc on the GameCube. After I did load up Swiss and access the disk drive, you could see a list of different files there. One of them being the file that would then run Xeno Crisis. So after going through it and picking that icon, it was at least able to load the game on the GameCube natively.
It does feel weird opening up a GameCube game like this that's sealed. It feels like I'm doing something I shouldn't be. But again, this is a newer game, so hey, it comes with a manual. Wow, who would have thought that? Nowadays, 2023, you're lucky if you get even an advertisement over here for some of the newer titles. Oh, I like even the disc art looks pretty good there. This is Bitmap Bureau. So it doesn't look like an aftermarket game necessarily. Wow, they did a really good job with the disc itself. I think this was $30 or $35 with shipping involved. I'll have to double check on the site, but if I put this up against, say, Vex, that looks really close. Now, they can't necessarily, I guess, put Nintendo or even GameCube on it, but other than that, I mean, that looks really, really authentic. Oh, the manual looks good too. I think oh, it is. It's fully colored. So this doesn't look like something that was put out on a printer and just folded up really quickly and stapled. This also feels pretty high quality. Look at the full page artworks here with some of the bios around the different characters. I guess a lot of times you would get these manuals. So if I grab one, we can go to Vex again. I believe a lot of them back then were just black and white, if I'm remembering. Yeah, see? So this being fully colored is a bit of an improvement over what we had back then. So that is actually really cool as like a collector's piece. Based on the screenshots that we have here on the back, it looks like a kind of a top-down shooter. It is co-op, so that'll be kind of fun. At least have that option right here, the 2-player cooperative play. 7 diverse areas to explore, each with their own obstacles and hazards, and it's procedurally generated maps and rooms, so it seems like it could be a kind of a good time to have there on the GameCube, and it's just neat to see games still getting ported to the system in 2023.
But overall, a smaller update for the GameCube collection. Later on this month, I'm going to be heading out to Too Many Games, and I'll be looking around there to see if I can pick up maybe some of the cheaper games that you wouldn't necessarily want to pay $3 or $4 for, then pay that same amount in shipping online. So maybe I'll just try to get a big bulk amount of games there, and we can go through those in another video. But let me know what you guys think about this one, as well as Xeno Crisis, a game heading to the GameCube for the first time here in 2023. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.